Hello, everyone, and welcome to A Late Tackle, brought to you by me, Andy, FPL Mode, and obviously brought to you by BlackBox as well. I know what you're all thinking. That's not Luke. No, we've got Baker on the screen with us today, but that's because something happened with all the screens, and unfortunately, we've had to put Luke's name under Baker. But Baker, thank you so much for joining us tonight. How's it going, my man?
Pleasure, mate. Yeah. Normally, I think I'd take Luke's ranks over mine, but it doesn't look like he's had the greatest start in the world. So,
I know.
neither of us two, mate. So actually, in a way, you're like, actually, I'm quite glad to be on, and that like you can't see my rank. That'll do.
Mate, I'm more than happy because this is last week's rank and this is better than I had. So I'm taking this, yeah. But how's your start of the season been?
I don't feel like very much has gone right.
Oh,
But it's very little in it that potentially would make it like a really good start to the season. I would say just even one decision. So I brought in Cunha and capped him over Bruno a couple of weeks ago.
oh,
Now, if you had
yeah.
20 points, it's so tight at the moment that I think me and you are literally on the same points. Yeah, I think you're 2 points ahead of me. But if you add 20 points to my score, I'd be like, oh, I've had a really good start to the season. It'd be fine. So it's still really early. Need to make moves, and this feels like the time, doesn't it? Is there's very few people not playing a chip this week, and it's not just like one chip, is it? Because you're playing a chip and then moving on to I'm going to do this chip and I'm going to do this chip, and now we're rolling.
Yeah, and that's literally it in terms of I don't think we could have got a better week for you to come on because, like you just said, people are either doing wildcard and then potentially planning for a bench boost. People are playing triple captain. There is so much going on at the moment, and obviously with triple captain Ireland, we're going to be talking about all of that tonight. And so many teams seem more viable now than they ever have been, if that makes sense. And I say ever have been. Obviously, we're only 5 weeks in, but even your team Spurs are getting a little bit of love as well.
Yeah, I mean, people are looking obviously at Spurs attack, Everton attack. When
Yeah,
do you remember like last season? If someone brought in like Dwight McNeil, everyone would be like, "What are
yeah,
you doing?"
I know.
you
I know.
know. But people are potentially one, maybe not just one asset from Everton. They're like, well, which is the midfielder? There's three different midfielders we could choose from. That is strange,
Yeah.
for us. Um, yeah,
Yeah, I like it. And by the way, for anybody we've got almost 300 people watching already, which is fantastic. Only 4 minutes in. If people are coming in later now than they were before, this is Baker 343. That's on Twitter as well, and obviously of the famous Above Average podcast. It does say Luke under his handle there. This is not Luke. This is not This is Baker. We can blame Az for the technical difficulties. I'm starting to realise that Az is the technical difficulty, but less said about that, the better.
maybe it is.
At least he's got a good rank this year. But yeah, like you just said, people are thinking about Everton assets, thinking about Spurs assets. The big one, obviously, this week though, is Man City assets, home to Burnley, and
Yeah.
the fact that they have got lots of options for us to choose from, which we weren't actually thinking was going to be possible this week. We've
Yeah.
got Donnarumma, we've got Gvardiol, we've got Reinders, we've got Foden, we've got Doku, we've got Haaland. That's six just off the top of my head. If you were on a wild card or you're on a free hit, whatever it was you're on, who would be your top three this week, do you think?
It is tough. It is tough. I've just noticed in the chat they said that, I've got the glasses on because it's serious. Those people don't know. I don't normally wear glasses, but I just assumed we were looking at loads of black box tables, so I was definitely going to need these tonight. And Luke is not my first name. There's some other questions in there. In terms of Man City guys, look, I think Reinders and Haaland is your obvious two.
Yeah.
Like they're almost a given. I think for most people this week, I don't think many people are going into this week without them. I'd be really interested. I'm going to be really interested to see what the Rangers' effective ownership is,
Yeah.
because they've been sort of like I think maybe like 30-40%, something more those type of lines but maybe I think Az is moaning you in the chat by the way as well.
I'm trying to download. So he's sent me all this stuff now. So we're live.
Now.
We're live at 9, and he's sending me this stuff now, going fix it. I'm like, I'm trying to fix it while Baker's talking.
The
But
boss
yeah,
is talking.
yeah, I know. Tell me about it.
You do what you need.
Thank
The
you.
big one is Foden.
Yeah,
And can you just like, because there's every chance tomorrow he's turning 20 points.
Yeah, I know. Do you think he will? Do you think we've got old Foden back? Do you think that because Haaland, obviously, his XGI is just so astronomically through the roof at the moment. If they do score 3 or 4, surely Haaland's going to be involved in 2 or 3 of them, like 60 to 70% of the goals.
Yeah.
Is there enough room for Foden to do that? Is it just all funneling through Haaland that, apart from Reinders, can you really go for a Foden?
I think the difference with this game is that there'll be times where they will sit more deep, than other teams have done. And Foden's just so good at that, like 18, 19 yards out, make space, shoot, bottom corner, goal. Like you can see it playing out. Like I'm really struggling a little bit with it because for the last 2 seasons, when you get to the end of the season and you see your reviews and you see who's had the most effective points for you, it's been Foden for me each of these last 2 games. I've been incredibly lucky whenever I've gone on Foden, it's worked. And so the idea that I won't go on Foden this week.
No, I've by the way, I've managed to fix while you've been talking, so thank you so much. I've managed to fix the overlay, so they are now sorted. So thank you so much for Az in the chat. Are you muted now? Oh my god! Right, this is what happens. Hang on one sec. I know how to sort it. Go.
I love the number of people that are saying Luke is muted still.
Oh my god! Right,
so
this should be working now. This should be working now. Your sound is back. There we go. Dan is in the chat saying,
"You're getting the blame."
I know. He's saying it all goes to pot without Az. This is because of Az. This is why it's not working. We've still got 400 people here, so that's lovely. Yeah, it should be absolutely fine now. Literally, right. Let's just go into what we were talking about with Haaland, and you would obviously talk about Foden there as well. If it's you, I'm a bit flustered now. You were saying if you were on Wildcard, you'd find it hard to not include him.
I'd find it hard not to, in that I think one, it's a great option for this week, and secondly, if it doesn't work out, there's still Mbeumo next week.
Yeah, where are you going to do?
There's still Mbeumo next week.
Yeah, I know. I was looking at that. It's a shame that you can't go from Foden to Saka easily, because obviously that would be quite a nice move. But are you tempted with Mbeumo? Because, you just said, I don't know whether I prefer Mbeumo this week over Foden in some ways.
At his old ground. He knows everything about it. It's really difficult, isn't it? We've got 2 this week, haven't we? We've got more than 2 because half of Chelsea's team's from Brighton. But we've got João Pedro, obviously going back to Brighton, home to Brighton, sorry. And then you've got Mbeumo away at Brentford, so really is in its own stomping ground. And you're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, it's a tough one. I mean, the big one that we haven't obviously spoken about yet is obviously Haaland. And when you're looking at Haaland, I think Live FPL came out earlier and said that we are looking at the fact that Haaland will be 200% EO or more in quite a few rank tiers. Which, if you're somebody like us, then actually he probably won't be in our rank tier. But if you're in the top 2 million, he probably will be because you've owned Haaland, and that's why you're obviously doing so well. But triple captain this week?
Yeah, so I've got it active now.
Oh, you do.
Put it active immediately. I did deactivate it yesterday morning, and then bang, straight. As soon as I saw last night the little training picture, I was like, oh, okay. And then I thought I'd reactivated last night. We potted last night, and I hadn't. Yeah. And then obviously you saw the presser news today that he's fine. And I was like, get in, make sure I've done it. So yeah, he very much is. It's activated. Yeah.
Was it just the knock that was worrying you?
Yeah, a little bit, and also just even a case of like maybe we get something from him that says like we will see something like that. But it all feels now like maybe it was a little excuse that they conceded late on against Arsenal, so it covered that part, and then it also meant he didn't have to put him in the squad for midweek.
Have you how many times before playing the triple captainship have you triple captained a striker?
I did it for Kane when he got 1 point.
Oh no,
Was
that's
that
not what
Cardiff?
people want to hear.
Was that
Yeah.
Cardiff many
Yeah.
years ago, wasn't it? I did that one.
Is there something about that? Do you think about captaining a striker over a midfielder, like extra clean
Yeah.
sheet point, extra point for the goal?
Yeah, I did it with Isak last season
Yeah.
in the double that he had, but you knew he had a double, so therefore it feels okay.
Yeah.
And it's strange, obviously. Like I think he ended up with, I can't remember what he had up with, like 11 or 12 points. I think he ended up with. And everyone was like, "Well, that was a big failure," and I was like, "Oh, it's okay.
That's right.
It's okay." Ultimately, like you say, is everybody is captaining him this week.
Yeah.
You're just going to get what everybody else gets +1.
Yeah.
It's not as big. I always think triple captaincy, it's just not that big a thing.
No, I agree. I do agree. Deanish, by the way, in the chat says I got 75 points from Sanchez. I could triple captain Sanchez in that week. I mean, that was a double game week though, and now we've got to play these chips in the first half of the season, which, by the way, I still think is one of the best things that's happened this year in terms of changes, because seeing all the differentiation with how people are playing their chips, I think has been great. But in a single game week, Baker, how many points do you think is a success if you're triple captaining somebody? If you're triple captaining Haaland this week, what's the lowest you can say is a success?
I think I would, if you offered me 9 points now, and just said, "Here you go, he's definitely going to get 9 points," I would walk away.
Would you?
Captain.
What,
Yeah,
goal and full bonus?
Yeah, I'd walk away on 9. I think 13, and like I'm saying, where would you handshake? If a handshake 9, if you offer me right now 9 points and walk away, I'd handshake, walk away.
Yeah.
If you get the brace, you get 13 points. 13 effective points across the field because you've got to remember, whenever anyone plays it in this first half of the season, it's a single game week.
Yeah.
There's going to be one where we're going to have more than this in terms of the times when people are going to press it. There's going to be one time where somebody's going to blank.
Yeah.
So if you get like 10 effective points against everybody, against those people, it's the effective points. Do you know what I mean? Is like I say, is you could say, oh, like I don't think people should be like, oh, like so 13 is 39, obviously.
Yeah.
But if everyone's doing it, you're only gaining the 13.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, it's like, yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I think 13 points is something like about, for me, at 4.5 million, is about 1.5 million, right?
Take that, wouldn't we?
On its own.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, do you think this is the week? Do you think, looking at the fixtures, is this the best week to do it, considering we've got Champions League, international breaks, all that kind of stuff that's going to be coming up, with the form that Haaland is in, and Burnley being bottom of the XGC table so far? Small sample size, but they are. Do you think this is the best week you can foresee happening before game week 19?
I think it's the one where you're going to get the least jitters, effectively. So the sort of jitter effect is what I would talk through. And right now, we've now got reassurance that what we know is, I know what I'm going to do. I know the exact player I'm going to put it on, and that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But when we get later in the season, so let's just take, was it game week 14 with Salah home to Sunderland?
Yeah. And
So
game week
that's the
8,
next-
home to United.
Game week 8 home to United. Okay.
Yeah.
But any game week after a European round, you get a little jittery. Oh, sorry, an international break. You get a little jittery. So there's some jitters that are going to come in and go, we're going to make some changes here because we've got, and then we've got obviously Champions League. They're away a few days after that. So that's always a bit icky. When we go to game week 14, which is home to Sunderland for Salah, that is between West Ham away and Leeds away, and it's in a midweek game.
Yeah.
Midweek game week.
Yeah. There's something about midweek game weeks, isn't there?
There's something in that midweek game week where you're like, I don't know. I don't know. Even if you go then the home to Leeds for Man City, or the home to Sunderland. So you've got home to Leeds in 13, and you've got home to Sunderland in 15. They're either side of that midweek, and either side of each of those is, I think, Leverkusen and Madrid.
Yeah.
So Sunderland at home for Man City is after a midweek away at Fulham, which is a tough game, before away to Madrid. I see no chance that he's playing that 15 home to Sunderland.
Yeah. I do agree. It's a tough one. Even if he does start, his minutes could be managed.
Yeah. And then obviously, I think then you're looking at Parma. I think there's some relatively good fixtures on Parma if you think you're going back there. Game week 9, but game week 9 home to Sunderland again is what I don't mind about the Sunderland one in game week 9 for Parma is that it is after a European game, but it's before a Carabao game.
Yeah.
So you're like, yeah, he probably plays that, and then he's done. You've got home to Wolves for Parma just before international break in 11. I'm like, that's fine. Rather that than Burnley away after an international break.
I don't mind having to play Wolves. I feel like Wolves and Burnley are the same defensively for me. I feel like Wolves can be completely carved open, whereas you've got teams like Sunderland and Leeds, I feel can put in a good performance defensively if they need to. Whereas Burnley or Wolves, I'm not sure whether they possess. I know Burnley have kept a clean sheet this year, but it does feel like Wolves are up there in terms of being able to captain against them, doesn't it?
But so I think most of the Haaland options are pretty risky.
Yeah.
Okay. Which then means you're looking at either getting Mo back or you're doing it on Palmer. Really, they're the guys, aren't you, that you trust. But the wildcard structure that everybody's got does not have Mo and does not have Palmer. And doesn't have 3 million sitting in the bank to get them either.
It would have had Mo. It would have had Mo until he got injured. And obviously it's confirmed today he's out for 3 weeks at least. I mean, is it just going to be 3 weeks? Surely they manage him a little bit more moving forward now. I mean, I suppose the thing is, we're talking about teams there that are playing in Europe. There are teams that are out of cups, lost to Grimsby, and are not in Europe. Maybe you go with Bruno Fernandes triple captain at some point.
Well, if you're going to do that, you do that next week, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So therefore, it is. That's a potential one.
I'm at that game.
Why would you not?
Exactly. Should we have a little bit of a look at your team for this week? Because I saw the yellow flag. You obviously got the yellow flag on Murillo, and it's not sounding overly great for Murillo this week. But you do have a pretty capable 2 on the bench in Rodon and Richards. You've done a few moves already, though, haven't you?
Yeah. So I had 3 free transfers, and so I've used them all.
Yeah.
On the premise of not wildcarding. Mainly out of hate because I had Watkins, Rodgers, and Verts.
Yeah, that's some hate that's built up.
There's some hate that's built up there.
Yeah.
When this is the problem. There've been so much hate that you're like, well, how's your season been? I started game week 1 with Rodgers, Watkins, and Verts.
Bless you, and double Forest defence.
Yeah, it's like 40% of my budget has been spent on double Forest defence and those 3.
On just pure blanks and price drops.
Pure blanks.
Kills you.
Kills me. So I've got Sells in goal. I've got a back 3 currently of Anderson, Murillo, and Porro. Look, I'm assuming that we do not get Murillo.
Yeah. It seems that way.
Yeah. So on that case, I would get Rodon off the bench, home to Bournemouth. I do think Leeds, like I know obviously Semenyo will be everyone's wild card because if they haven't already got him, they're getting him in. Mm-hmm. But I do think this isn't the greatest game for Bournemouth this weekend.
Yeah,
I think Leeds will make it really, really difficult. I think they play a style which doesn't really hugely play into the hands of Bournemouth. So yeah, I think they'll make it. I think they'll make it pretty tough for them. So yeah, I'm seeing Mr. Summers is asking the chat about Porro, because I've had quite a few questions about Porro, so I might as well try and deal with that on the defence, because obviously he played 90 minutes in midweek. So he played 90 minutes in midweek. He was captain, so I expected him to play 90 minutes in midweek. Like, as soon as he gets the armband and Romero's not there, he's a minutes monster. Like, he's absolutely fine. He's clearly one of the leaders in the squad. You know, we've lost obviously Maddison in terms of one of that leadership group, and I really think Porro is now fully in that game. Frank has talked repeatedly about he hasn't got round to naming his leadership squad, but the fact that he gave him the captaincy is a really big point.
Yeah.
We should remember that his understudy, effectively, if there was to play on that side, is Spence. Spence also plays 75 minutes. Like, it's only 15 minutes more. If Spence had come off at half time and done half time Spence, half time with Doggy, I'd be a little bit more alright. But he played 75 minutes. The other thing is as well, Spence wasn't particularly good, and he wasn't, and Porro was really good in that game. So look, I would fully expect Porro to play. Do I think Spence plays? I'm not so sure. He gave Udogie the full 90 last weekend, and then Spence was not great in midweek. I wouldn't be surprised if it's actually Udogie and Porro. Does that mean we might see an early sub for Porro and Spence come on for him? Potentially. That's no bad thing. Potentially. That's not really the world's worst thing.
Do you think, I mean, obviously price comes into it. Do you think Porro is still the best Spurs defender to go for now? Because obviously Van der Ven, I mean, he could be 4.8 before tomorrow. Romero's 5.1, Porro's 5.5. They've all kind of bunched together in terms of price. Porro, with Simons coming in, obviously has lost a bit of set pieces as well. Do you think Porro now is not the asset we want him to be for that price?
Oh, I don't think it should be even in the consideration for people on Wildcard. 5.5 is a huge amount of money. When you know that Tarko's going to just churn out DEFCON every week for that doesn't to make a huge amount of sense to me when you've got these good, really 4.5s. I still think Romero is the one if you're going to go with a Spurs defender. He's the best in the air that we have, and he's the best on bonus. Yeah. He's the most likely to score. He's by a mile the most likely to assist, because he's literally our best passer in the team. Yeah. You know, all progression has to come through him. One of the reasons why we got Polinia is because you can almost interchange him into a centre back, and then Romero just goes around him and can play midfield, because there's no you know, for all of my bias and so forth, I'd struggle to say that Romero is better than Saliba, but there's definitely no ball playing defender, I don't think, in world football better than Christian Romero. So it's just whether he gets the DEFCON, because one of the issues is because he's so good on the ball, he doesn't have to clear it. Yeah, he'll take a touch and pass it. He'll take the piss out of someone in his own box, so he doesn't get the clearances that other defenders do. So he's never really guaranteed to get DEFCON, and that's the problem with Romero. When you've got all these guys now, why would you do it?
Yeah, I do understand what you mean, and I look at it like I said. I had Porro before I wildcarded, and at first I kept him in, and then I just kept looking at it thinking I can't justify it. There's quite a few people in the chat, by the way, I ought to acknowledge, but Mr. Feather is saying it's nice to engage with the chat once in a while. I know we've just started and we had a bit of a flustering start, so obviously I wanted to get straight into it basically, but yes, we ought to acknowledge that there's people in the chat. Mark Southerns, the godfather of BlackBox is in the chat, so welcome, Mark. Mr. Feather is in the chat. Harry Dawson says, what about Vicario, Baker? Is Vicario anywhere in your thoughts? Obviously done well to start the season.
I think for me, in the keeper points, I think I really just think the four keepers is either cheaper Petrovic, Pope as the 5 million, or you go up to Donnarumma and Raya. I still think that's the case over Vicario. Yeah. I also just think well, what if Richarlison keeps his place forever and he's a £6.5 million striker, and the midfielders are cheap and the defenders are cheap? So do you want this guy for 30 weeks?
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. We've got, thanks for that one, Harry Dawson. We've got, who else? Someone was asking earlier as well about Xavi Simons or Kudus. So
can we do questions that are not Spurs for a little bit?
No, because I've got you on it.
Everyone's going to just say that I'm just going to talk Spurs.
This will be the last Spurs question.
Right.
Spurs question. Xavi Simons or Kudus? Xavi obviously has come in recently. He got benched the last game. Was it kind of rotated, rested the last game? Kudus played and got 2 assists. Kudus has had a bit of a knack for getting some assists in games, obviously. But Xavi Simons, shiny new toy, seems to be on some set pieces, playing in the 10 potentially. What's your take on those? This will be the last Spurs question, but people are looking at it. So,
yeah, well, I've looked at it. I brought Xavi in, but I guess I brought him in. I watched obviously the Brighton game, and the last half hour he played centrally, and he was incredible. And I think one of the big things about the War make him incredible is Kudus. Like he will create that space for him down the right, and he has the ability to pick him out actually, and they linked up really, really well. What we saw in midweek, where he played in the 10 then, and he had Brennan and Odegaard outside him, that wasn't so good for him. That really wasn't, there was no real interplay. There's just guys that he's going to feed. He still he created 8 chances in the 60 minutes, but virtually all of them were set pieces, and he was taking set pieces from both sides, whereas normally he'd only take them from one side because Kudus would take the other.
Yeah.
So I think there's very little in it. I think if we think that Xavi's going to end up in the 10, then he probably becomes the better asset. The bad thing is almost for him is that we've got no one putting their hand up for the left wing. Tell looks frightfully out of form. Odegaard's still incredibly young. Kolo Muani's had a dead leg for about 3 weeks. Which is odd.
How dead is that leg?
It's a very strange one. And Brennan's been played out on the left, but you just saw the other night, he's so much better on the right, and therefore, but Bergvall looks fantastic in the middle. Sarr looks fantastic in the middle. Plus you've got Bentancur, plus you've got Polinia. So actually, do you just play 3 midfielders and stick him on the left? And then he's just a winger. And if he's just a winger and Kudus is just a winger, there's very little in it. Yeah. The only thing that might be not so good for Kudus is I actually thought Brennan on the right just showed why he should always play on the right in midweek. And what Brennan is inevitable at is scoring goals. And I think every Spurs fan watches it and says, the last 15 to 20 minutes, what I really want is Brennan to just go on the right and he'll score.
Yeah.
And maybe we might see a few Kudus to Brennan subs in the near future.
What would you say was Xavi Simons' predicted minutes most games at the moment? Is he around 70, 75 or more than that?
I think 75.
Yeah.
I think 75.
I think 75 of him is not too bad, is it?
Yeah. For me, I'm looking at it for this week. I think it's a good week. And I think at Leeds, we're going to need somebody at Leeds that can unpick them. But yeah, throw a blanket over him.
Yeah. Again, thank you so much for all the people that have joined us in the chat so far. 730 people. We will be having a kind of bumper Q&A session at the end of this one. So we're going to do about 10 minutes on my wildcard, and then we're just going to answer as many of your questions as possible for the last 20 minutes. So Saturday night, Saturday, I rolled my transfer. So I had 3 free transfers, and my plan was to wildcard with 3 free transfers because I thought that was quite a strong position to be in. I was losing value left, right, and centre. Even in the last 2 days before I hit the wild card, I lost value on Watkins. I lost value on Wirtz as well. If I'd have not wildcarded, the value I would have lost, unless I'd have gone early, I'd have lost another 0.4 million, I think, this week. And it just, my value now is 99.6 having wildcarded. And it just gets to a point where you do think, my God, like this is going to make a big difference to my team. And so wildcarding with 3 free transfers I thought was quite good. This is the team that I've ended up with. So this is the team that I'm going into tomorrow with. I don't think I'm going to make any changes now. I think this is pretty much it. So I've got Raya in goal with Gabriel. And by the way, you could say this is template. I really don't care. Most of it is exactly what it should be. Most of it is they're good picks. And if I was in a vacuum not looking at anybody else, these are the people I was going to pick. So I think that's fine. I've got Raya and Gabriel in defence. I got Van de Ven and Tarkowski. Van de Ven I picked over Anderson because I want to bench boost in game week 8. They have a nice fixture. I think they got Villa in 8. And Tarkowski I wanted because 8's his only bad fixture. The rest of it, I want to play him every week. So it's a shame I've got to have him in that week, but I could use a transfer to take him out, but we'll see. I've then also got Senesi and Mukiele on the bench. I love Mukiele. There's a lot of talk about him having to play right back potentially, which could hurt his DEFCON. But if he does play centre-back, he is an absolute beast for DEFCON. So I like having him in there. And then I've got Semenyo, Bruno Fernandes, Reinders, and Stack in the middle with Xavi Simons as well. And that was actually having a bit of a chat with you, wasn't it, about whether I could go for him and kind of what the prospects are. And it was looking good. And then Pedro, Gyökeres and Haaland up top with Haaland as my captain. He is still yellow on here. That's because I took the screenshot 2 days ago and I haven't changed it, basically. And then I've got Dubravka in goal as well because for a bench boost 8, actually they've got Leeds at home.
Leeds.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm looking at it thinking it's not too bad. I like this team. There's not a lot more I could really do. I was tempted, but I'm 0.1 away, so I can't do it anyway, with Tarkowski to Gvardiol. So getting Gvardiol in now, because then in game week 8, when I'm looking to bench boost, I've got Gvardiol, who's at home to Everton, and of course Tarkowski's away to Man City. But away to Man City, Tarkowski, his floor is probably 3. He probably gets his DEFCON, might concede 2 goals, so goes down to like 1 point, and he's got 3 points, which on a bench boost probably isn't that bad. So I'm fairly happy with this team. Like I said, team values killed me a little bit, because there's a few little players. I'd love to get Romero in instead of Van de Ven. That's a big one that I'd like to get in. I could free up some money. I could do Xavi Simons down to Kudus. I could do Raya down to Pope, potentially. So there are some things I could do there to free up funds. But what are your thoughts on it, mate? And don't just say template.
I won't just say template, but let me just make sure I'm clarifying. Did you say you actually have got free transfers next week, or you were going to have free? So next week you'll have free transfers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a strong position.
Yeah, I like it.
And I think that's really important when you're looking to people on Wildcard is, well, how many transfers have you got? Because there is a difference this season to last season in that you can't roll 5 transfers forever. You can't just get to 5 and roll try. We've got a hard stop, haven't we? We have got a hard stop that at 16 you need to have used all your transfers, because otherwise you're not actually going to get the full benefit of getting everything back. So next week you're going to go into game week 7 and you'll have free transfers. That's 2 extra. Yeah. Which means you've got loads to play with. Yeah. So therefore if you look at the even more template pick in this, it would be Joachim Anderson over Van de Ven. Yeah. Would make this more. What's the point, really? Like, next 3 games, you're not going to play him at all. Yeah. Van de Ven, you will. So,
and if I want to bench boost an 8, Anderson is away to Arsenal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I know, obviously, lots of people bench boost last week and got loads of 4-pointers, and it's like, well, now that's what we should do. But realistically, there's a chance. Like, go for glory. Go for the 10-pointer. Like, see what you can get. So I think I would do. I think Van de Ven's a perfect pick for you. Yeah. You do have those transfers. You know, if I was looking at this and saying, hey, like, how Foden curious are you? Because
how Foden curious are you?
Well, you could do
I've always been
Tarko.
Foden curious.
You could do Tarko back to a 4.5, and Xavi becomes Foden in this team.
I toyed with it. Right at the beginning of the week, and people went, don't go Foden. Literally everybody was saying, don't go Foden. But of course, as happens in FPL Twitter, as soon as some people start doing it, other people go, oh, it's not too bad to do that. And now all of a sudden, he's in a lot of teams.
I just think is you you've got these transfers. You're going to be in a really strong position. You're not going to have a team like you're currently planning no transfer next week, 100%. Virtually no chance of it happening. You'd have to have an injury to one of these players to do it. So then you're going to be 4 free transfers.
Yeah.
But Brentford away next week, if you had Foden instead of Xavi, you still wouldn't make a transfer.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd give it a little bit of thought of could you make Xavi that a little bit more?
I could, but losing Tarkowski home to West Ham, that screams anywhere between 8 and potentially like 15 points, doesn't it?
We say it does. We say it does. But like Everton, West Ham, just in general, you'd say that should normally be quite a close fixture.
Yeah. And I mean,
even if you look to the bookies, they won't have it like it's going to be 2-0, 3-0. What did you do when you do your predictions on Wednesday night? You did it. What did you have in your predictions for Everton West Ham?
1-0. I thought that was the most nailed on 1-0 Everton.
And what did Az have it?
1-0.
Yeah, well, it probably is 1-0 to be fair.
Yeah.
But like I know, obviously West Ham are bad, but West Ham have now got the feel-good factor that the whole of Twitter is talking about Graham Potter. Like they can't sack him now. He's on every other tweet is a picture of his face.
They asked him about that, didn't they? And he actually knew it was happening. He said his son had a laugh about it. But by the way, I can't see where he's gone now. Sear, I think it was Sear S was saying, why is everybody on Wildcard ignoring Liverpool? Why is everybody ignoring Liverpool? From game week 8 onwards. You know, game week 8, they got Man United at home. There's no Salah, there's no Van Dijk, there's no Gakpo, obviously there's no Wirtz. Isak as well, who with Ekitike suspended, will definitely get 60 minutes at least. What are we thinking? Why no Liverpool?
I get it. Like if you're going to wildcard this week, away to Palace, then home to Chelsea, they're not the greatest 2 weeks, are they?
Yeah.
So I get it. What am I looking? You know, for me as a person that's not looking to wildcard this week, is probably looking to wildcard in 8. I'm desperate for everyone to not be on Liverpool, and then I'm probably going to have to lean into Liverpool. Part of that's then suddenly like, oh God, you're going on a really different path to a huge amount of people out there, which like you say, is scary, isn't it? Because one person says that's a good idea, and you look at it, and then you're like, everywhere I look. Like I tweeted in the week.
Meme, innit?
Yeah, I tweeted in the week and said so much variation on wildcard. Sometimes I'm seeing João Pedro, Haaland, Gyökeres. Sometimes I'm seeing Gyökeres, Haaland, João Pedro. The wild ones like you stick Haaland in one of the outside channels, and it got loads of likes. Why did it get loads of likes? Because everyone is seeing it. Everyone who's done it has it. Everyone is like it is what we're all doing. It feels incredibly obvious.
Yeah.
For me, if I was taking somebody on wildcard, I would probably try and take on Gyökeres. That would be my feeling if I was to take somebody on.
With Saka?
But it's tough, isn't it? Yeah. It's tough to trust. It really is tough to trust. I'd almost be tempted to leave it open and try and work it through. But again, similar to you, if I wildcarded this week, I'd have free transfers. So I would want to get a bit more, okay, maybe I could have a bit more fun with it. I'm really hot on Eze. I just think the other night in midweek, when he scored the goal early on, there's just times with Eze where when he scores, it makes it look like, you know, when you're playing 5-a-side against someone and you're just like, God, this is going to be bad.
Yeah.
When they score in a couple of minutes, you're like, oh God. And that's what he feels like, you know, when he's on. It just makes the game look so easy. He's got so much talent. You know, obviously he gets the assist, a brilliant assist for the goal, the Martinelli goal last weekend, and then he scores in midweek, and he just looks on it.
Yeah.
And I can see a lot of us wanting to go there very, very shortly.
Be nice to have another option. I mean, this is, I mean, we've already said we don't want to make this a Spurs pod, but George has put in a super chat saying, how would you fancy Richarlison captain on a wild card versus Wolves?
If you haven't got Haaland, I'd have no issue with it.
Surely, if you've, I mean, if, yeah, obviously, like you've just said, that would be if you don't have Haaland. If you've got Haaland, you go Richarlison. That seems absolutely mental, though, doesn't it?
Mental, yeah. If you've got them both, do that.
But if you don't have Haaland, you see Richarlison up there as a captain choice this week.
Richarlison is just that kind of guy that the second you captain him will get a red card. He's just got it. He's just got it in him. He'll find ways to. He'll find ways. But he has got an incredible record versus Wolves, by the way. So I really like him. We saw earlier in the week Solanke was in full training, and you're like, oh, okay. Thomas Frank in his interview today said he's back in the gym. He's not out on the pitch anymore. Like, they're leaving that alone. But with any of the South American guys you're looking at, like, I really like Enzo Fernandez in this spot.
Yeah.
In this spot you've got left open, I love Enzo.
Yeah.
But next week he's got home to Liverpool. It's not great.
Yeah.
Then he's coming after an international break. Not great.
Yeah.
He didn't play the last international break for some reason, but you'd assume he will be back in that game and he will be away. It's really hard, isn't it? It's really hard to go.
I can't wait to bench boost after an international break. FPL Have a Pint, by the way, is in the chat saying, are those your phone numbers next to your names? Yes, that's what they are. Yes, we'll go with phone numbers. Right, people, by the way, chuck in your questions, because for the last 15 minutes, we will answer as many questions as possible. And if you want to chuck in something and we do a super chat, we will make sure that we answer those ones. Sorry, carry on. Mate.
So is Stack over, say, KDH part of the bench boost game because of the game week 8?
That's exactly it. And also, KDH's on 4 yellows, isn't he? So I thought the worst thing ever is for him to get another yellow in game week 7, and then I can't do anything with him. So yeah, that's exactly what it is. I don't actually mind KDH as an option. I think Garner can be an option, but he was playing right back a lot, so that's why he was getting a lot of defcons. But I think KDH would be the way. But like I said, because I'm thinking of bench boost, I'm more than happy to just go with Stack, I think, at the moment. I'm not expecting what he did the last week, but I feel like, he's an option, and defcon is not too bad. Dal is in the chat chucking a £5 super chat in saying 53 points last week. Hang on, there's so many questions I can't read it. Hang on. Saying 53 points last week and moves for a -4 are Madueke to Foden, Gakpo to Ndai, and Munoz to Tarkovsky. What are your thoughts? I'm ranked 790k. Is that any good? Dal? Gosh, making us look like absolute amateurs here. I mean, Madueke out, obviously. It doesn't matter what you're doing there, does it? And Foden, I think, is great. Gakpo to Ndai and Munoz to Tarkovsky for a -4. What do you reckon, Baker?
Yes. Fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what we don't know is whether he played Wildcard or not. And I'm kind of hoping, because you're 790k, you already have. But if you haven't, then I guess it's just about when's your window. Like, if you're going to do that and then Wildcard in game week 8, then I'm not sure.
Yeah, I agree. Sure. James Challoner says Ismail Sarr on Wildcard.
Another reason that one of the beauties of you having Xavi in this is that obviously he's just enough that he's 7.1 that you can go to any of these 6 million guys. So Sarr for me is the standout player in across the season. If you ask me from now to the end of the season, who do I think gets there? I would say Ismail Sarr. But you can wait to game week 10.
Yes.
Onwards. You don't really need him in these next few weeks. So having somebody that's a little bit more expensive than him, I think, is absolutely fine. I would say, if you were going, say, Ismail Sarr, and then pair it with KDH, if you've already played, say, your bench boost, if you don't have that many transfers, that's quite a good one. Even bench Sarr this week, because it might be first game back, says he's okay, but will he play 90? Play KDH this week, and then you can just sling him back to the bench.
Yeah. SH says, who are the best defensive rotations to go with Senesi? So if you wanted to go with Senesi, who does rotate well with him? To be fair, I haven't seen many, because Senesi you actually wanted to play most weeks. So apart from this week potentially. And actually,
Yeah.
he's got an okay run, so you're playing him most weeks. But does he rotate well with one of the 4 million defenders or with Anderson later on? Or
Yeah, so I think if you were looking to not play him, it's probably in game week 8, game week 10, and game week 11.
Mm.
And actually, a player that has a really good rotation room in those weeks is Tottenham defence.
Is it?
So
That's
you
why I
could
did
now,
it.
if you, yeah, as I say, if you want to claim now that actually what you've done is, let me show you Exhibit A.
That's why it's here. That's why it's here. I'll leave this wildcard up just in case we accidentally stumble upon any other things I've done.
Yeah, I don't think there's probably anyone that works better than that to pair. Just looking at other guys. Newcastle. What about Newcastle defence? Just taking them.
Oh, do you know what? Me and Az were talking about this on BlackBox. I find Newcastle defence really hard to invest in because I think Pope, and as was saying this, I think Pope is the best asset to own because Botman's always there. Cher's injury record's obviously not great, and Livramento's not good because nobody's going for wingbacks anymore because they don't get DEFCON. So it's tough to pick one. I suppose most people would pick Burn, but Botman is there. Like Botman is probably their best centre back.
Yeah.
So it would worry me going for Burn, but I think Pope, apart from this week where they've got Arsenal, their fixtures are nice. I think Pope is a good choice, and obviously they've had 4 clean sheets, haven't they, so far?
Yeah, and I do think that people are going to talk about. I talked about this a little bit on the pod last night, but people are going to talk about the fact that they've had 4 clean sheets and they've conceded the least XG of any team. Mm-hmm. All of that stuff people are going to say, but you have to go the other side of it and go. They've also only scored 3 goals, so they've conceded 3 goals, all against Liverpool, and they've only scored 3 goals, 2 of which were Liverpool. Yeah. Do we think that Newcastle, a team with European ambitions, teams that a team that really has to, to with the owners they've got, with the ambitions of what they've got, like they've got to win games. They can't afford to be 10th, 9th. They can't afford those type of seasons. Do you think they want to play out 3-0 nils in the first 5 games, or do you think they've had to do a different style because Gordon's missed 3 games, who's their talisman? And realistically, strikers just got completely upended with the Isak situation, and then Wissa comes in and also gets injured. So, and then Murphy's carrying, injury. So he talked about it again today. So I think they're in almost preservation plans at the moment, in a way of they're trying to spoil games. You saw it, that Leeds away game, they just tried to spoil the crap out of it, and they tried the same against Bournemouth last week. Now, do I think they'll do that against Arsenal this week? Yeah, I think they'll try and spoil that game too. But as it then starts to progress after that, their fans aren't going to accept that. That's not what Newcastle is about, a dogged, turgid team to watch. That they try to play attractive football. One of the reasons is that's almost one of the ways that you attract people to go to Newcastle is big stadium, playing good football, good guys. Like, they can't afford to just be a dogged team week in, week out. I expect them to start opening up. Do I think that means they'll start conceding more goals and scoring more goals? Yes, of both. They can't just play for 0-0s every week.
Justin Seaman says, how many game weeks will the template last? Great question. So if you're looking at this template now, I mean, you're thinking of wildcarding in 8. Will this dramatically change by 8?
It's everything on this wildcard hinges on 2 guys in game week 7. Everything. Yeah. Because it's all about Gyökeres and Bruno Fernandes. Everything. If Gyökeres blanks at home to West Ham and Bruno Fernandes blanks at home to Sunderland, where many people will cap him, Salah will be back in everyone's teams. It will be Gyökeres straight down to a cheap one, like because people would be looking at game week 8 and going, I can just bring Fleming in for Gyökeres, and just be like, oh, okay, he works on the moment, and then that gives me the £5 million to get Bruno Fernandes back up to Salah. Like that, those things will naturally happen. Yet Saka taking a penalty, or just hauling breaks this up. I don't think you need to worry about it breaking up because you've got free transfers.
Yeah. It's Liverpool, isn't it? It's Liverpool from game week 8 onwards, with the lack of Liverpool, which, like you said, is completely justified with what they've got for the next two. But from game week 8 onwards, it's going to be Liverpool. But we're saying that like we haven't exactly seen anything from Liverpool at the moment that suggests that any of their players are essential in our teams compared to what other players are doing. Like even Van Dijk, that was great for DEFCON. You've got other 4.5 to 5 million defenders doing that every week. So it's really tough to know which way you're going. And like you just said, it's whether you can get Haaland and Salah into your team by game week 8 without a wild card, if that's the way wildcard teams are going to be going. But I'd be shocked to see wildcard teams in 8 without any Liverpool.
Yeah. But by then you'll have 4 free transfers, mate. It's just not.
Well,
You're sitting.
I'm sure I can mess it up somewhere, mate. Mr. Feather, by the way, is back in saying my top 3 differential transfers. So if you had to say, here's a Calvert-Lewin, Isak and Saka. If you had to say, let's just do 2 because I'm aware of time. Who are your 2 players you're not seeing anywhere or on any wild cards that you think, oh, they could be the ones. They could be the ones that people aren't picking, and they could be it. I've got at least one.
I mean, it'd be rude if I didn't say. It'd be rude if I didn't say Richarlison, wouldn't it? That would be one where I should probably say it. But like I say, for me, and he will be a huge differential. Still, I still think Foden is a massive differential. And Mbeumo, Foden and Mbeumo.
That's
like
nice.
Spending a bit more money on those two. Yeah. I think Foden and Mbeumo are a huge step up on the guys underneath them.
I would say that. I would say Mbeumo. And I think what is he, 3rd for XGI involvement so far this season? And I think he's just due a big game soon. He really is. He's been close a couple of times as well. Even against City. He could have had 2 against City. And I just look at it and think it's gonna happen soon. And in your opinion, is Bruno still marginally better than Mbeumo, or is the chasm a little bit bigger than we think?
I was really warming to Mbeumo over Bruno. Been really warming to it.
Love that, by the way. Mbeumo over Bruno.
Yeah. I just watched him last week, and I was like, thing is, Bruno just finds way to points. Like, and he is still. It's not the penalty. It's the timing of the run to get there ahead when the striker doesn't even move, and he snuck in. Like it was almost like he was invisible, just come out of nowhere suddenly for that goal that he tapped in.
Yeah,
like Dorgu's literally heading it towards Sesko, and then suddenly the ball's in the net. You're like, what? Who? Oh yes, Bruno running off. He's still great, but if you were looking. If you're somebody that wants to like play aggressive and you want to chase some big hauls, I've seen loads of teams with Bruno Fernandes and Ndai as 2 midfielders. You can basically do Mbeumo and Foden for those prices.
I don't like Ndai. I don't know whether it's just me. I've never been excited. He hasn't been in my wildcard draft once, and he is in so many because obviously he's cheap. He gets DEFCON point, or he's good for DEFCON at the moment. But I just don't get excited by him at all. I don't look at him and think, that's who I want to spend my 6.5 on, because I don't know. It could just be a me thing, and I could be very, very wrong. But
look, it's DEFCON's virtually a 1 point DEFCON because if he gets DEFCON, he also gets booked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like he looked like he was trying everything he possibly could. He made 4 tackles in the first 10 minutes against Liverpool, and then on the 5th tackle gets booked. You know, he was doing incredible work. Now, I think I tweeted this earlier, but he's played 39 games for Everton, and in 20 of those 39 games, he has not had a shot, not taken a shot, not one. Naught XG, no chance, not even close.
Yeah,
and in 29 of them, it's been 0.3 or less. This is a guy who takes penalties. So in 2 of them, he's guaranteed to have 0.78 XG, but he does this relatively often. What you have to say though is that he is on pens. the goal he scored with the Grealish cutback that he just sort of stabs in from about 2 yards. Can you see that goal happening 6-7 times this season? Yeah, I can see that. I can see him having only one shot in that game, but that one shot is diving in and tapping a goal in from 3-4 yards.
That's what his stats say. His stats say he doesn't take a lot of shots, but the shots he does take are high quality shots, basically. So, he might only score, or he might only take 2 or 3 shots every 2 or 3 weeks, but he'll likely get something from them potentially. But I just don't know where he fits into a team in terms of you're having to play him every week. If you're picking him, you're not benching him, are you? So you're having to play him every week. And I was quite happy when I was looking at, say, who was I looking at one point? Paqueta. So Paqueta is kind of very similar to Ndiaye, I think, in terms of the fact he's on penalties, but for a team that's not great in an attacking sense. And I was looking at it thinking, he's basically too poor to be starting in my team every week. So too poor to be my 4th midfielder, but too good to be my 5th midfielder. And that's basically where I ended up, because I'm not playing 5 in the middle because I want these front 3. And I feel like Ndiaye's kind of the same.
Yeah, in the last 2 games, Paqueta has had 2 incredible chances. He's missed both of them.
Yeah.
And if he scored both of those, he'd be in every wildcard. That's how the game works,
Yeah.
And but I think Ndiaye is made better by Grealish. I think he has got enough weapons around him that they will continually make sure is that. Do I expect him to have as many games where he didn't take a shot as he did last season? No, expect him to have more. Do I expect him to come off on 70 odd minutes? Well, I think he will quite regularly, because I think he'll get booked quite regularly.
Yeah.
And
what's he on at the moment for bookings?
I think that might be the first booking this season, to be fair. Yeah. But you just see it the way he is. He's quite tenacious, especially in the harder games. Like some of these guys where you're like, well, in the harder games, I'll play him because he'll get DEFCON if nothing else. But he'll also get booked.
Yeah.
So
it's an interesting one, and like I said, I've just not been that interested. But if you look at most, I think he's going to be in the template wildcard pick. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's going to be popular.
Yeah. We're going to finish off there. Thank you very much. I think we've chosen to stop just as we've hit around 1,000 viewers. So thank you very much for joining us this evening, and thank you very much as well to Baker as well for joining us this evening. For anybody that wasn't here at the beginning, there was a little trouble with the graphics, but we sorted through it. Baker, thank you so much. I don't know either. Is this your first ever Black Box appearance?
It is. It is. Like I have to thank you really, because normally people don't let me on Scout because I haven't had loads of 10k finishes, but you sort of opened the world up. You know what I mean? Oh. It's like by being not very good at FPL like me. Not by being nice, by is that suddenly, you know what I mean? People on Scout are allowed to be on if they hadn't had 7 top 10s in the 2000s.
Thanks. So,
this is what I like. Mate, you've been on our pod probably more than anybody else, and it's because I think you're the best host there is, sir. So I'll say that as a nice one.
Where's the next insult? Because I feel like this is going to be a shit sandwich where you. No, cool, lovely. But if people don't know you, Baker, where can they find you?
Yes, so Above Average FPL is where you'll find the channel. We'll do a team selection on Thursday nights, and then on Sunday nights is the bit that I'd say we have the most fun, is that it's very quick after the game start finishes that we'll tackle all of the games, get through them, see what we take from it. We will not be this Sunday because it's the Ryder Cup, and we will definitely be watching the finale of that. So it'll be Monday night that we'll be back during the Everton game. So it's me and Adam. Other than that, Baker FPL 343, as it says on the handle on screen.
Lovely. And like I said, there is a reason why your pod is the pod I've probably been on the most. It's because we've known each other for so long, and because I love coming on your pod. It's literally just sat there just chatting football, and it's not heavily FPL either, is it? It's chatting actual football and what you think's happened during the games and stuff, which is great. I
would always say that we should try and make stuff our pod was born of 2 friends that like FPL, and I feel like we put a lot into this. We spend so much time thinking about this, that eventually you make lots of social friends. Like we've been friends for many, many years. Yeah. And, you know, if I think about the Black Box guys, Mark, good friends with, you know, notes on the pods, will messaged back and forth from him. As I've met numerous times, Luke sent me a naked selfie a little while back, just so you know.
Oh, well, there you go.
So, but you make good friends in this world.
Exactly.
And so therefore, if you're friends, why would you not also talk a little bit about lifestyle as well as much as you would talk about the football? That's part of it. So
Exactly.
we'll try and make it a little bit more.
And it's funny, isn't it, how I was talking to somebody about this the other day, that we obviously started chatting properly during old Chat Man days. So that was during lockdown, which is absolutely crazy, isn't it? You think that's 5 years ago now. But shout out, by the way, to anybody that used to play Chat Man 5 years ago. But yeah, absolutely crazy. Thank you so much, though, like I said, Baker, for joining us. And hopefully this won't be the last time you come on Black Box or a late tackle with me either. But good luck for the rest of the season. And good luck for the rest of the season for everybody that's in the chat as well. We'll see you again next week for Black Box and another late tackle. But thank you so much. And we'll see you all then. Hope your arrows are green. Bye-bye.